I managed to fracture my foot by kicking a sandcastle, and I've also had a couple other foot-related injuries like turf toe and plantar fasciitis. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips that I've learned throughout the years about how to help with some of those issues. Personally, this is just my personal experience. I'm not a doctor or anything. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you one special tip for plantar fasciitis specifically that I don't really see anybody else talking about. It's something that's worked for me, and so it's just kind of something that maybe you can try. Hopefully it can work for you. But I'm sure you're wondering how in the world I fractured my foot from kicking a sandcastle. It was just a beautiful day trip that me and my friends took to the beach. Once we got out of the van, we saw this beautiful just mound of sand that, some child probably had built. And of course, my first instinct was, we got to punt this thing into oblivion. My friend, he was the one that first wanted to do it. And so he was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then out of his selfless heart, he said, you know what, you can do it, Calvin, you punt this thing. And so he kind of jokingly, went up there and held it kind of like it was a field goal. So in my mind, I am Steven Groskowski looking to send Tom Brady into another Super Bowl, and I give it everything I have. This sandcastle is probably been there for, I don't know, 2 billion years, and my foot just completely just gets destroyed from the impact. And so that is the story of how I fractured my foot from kicking a sandcastle. Foot issues are probably one of the most annoying injuries because they seem so small and minute. I remember there was this quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. My family's from Nebraska, and so I am forced into this cult of the Cornhuskers. Unfortunately now, because we're terrible, there's this quarterback named Adrian Martinez who was really good his rookie year, and then he had turf toe for the last 3 years of his career. He broke all these records in his rookie year, but then in the last 3 years, you can tell that just this little tiny pain in his toe was really just preventing him from being everything that he could be. So tip number 1 is the very first tip that I give anyone who has specific types of pain, and that is you need to offload the area somehow. It's really challenging with foot-related or toe or plantar fasciitis issues because you're always on your feet. It's not like you can avoid walking around, maybe if you're just kind of a bum or you don't really do a lot, but if you're an active individual, it's very hard to stay off your feet. The first tip in order to offload is just maybe buy some new shoes, buy some insoles, maybe prevent your foot from moving in a painful position. This is going to be helpful in allowing your brain to start to not associate walking or whatever movement that is with pain. If you have pain while you're wearing cleats of some sort, maybe get some new cleats, or you might even have to stop whatever activity you're doing with the cleats for some time while that issue heals. And same goes with a lot of these other foot-related issues. It's like if it hurts, then maybe try some other shoes, insoles. If you had the same shoes for like 15 years, yeah, it's probably time to get a new pair of shoes. I've also seen this problem when people go from normal shoes to barefoot shoes because there's so much more impact and our bodies aren't accustomed to walking barefoot on concrete. And so in the hopes of fixing these foot issues with these barefoot shoes, people actually run into more problems with barefoot shoes oftentimes than not because they jump too quickly into trying them out. Their foot just hasn't adapted yet. Not only do I recommend, switching out your running shoes if you're a runner frequently, but I also recommend exposing your feet to just different types of shoes and different types of ground. So, go out there and walk on some grass, wear some tennis shoes, wear some barefoot shoes. So just giving your foot just different stimuluses is great. But the first tip, first and foremost, is you have to offload that area. And with it being the foot, you have to maybe apply some more passive modalities like insoles or new shoes to do that. Tip number 2 is don't stretch it. There's really not that much to say about that, especially with like plantar fasciitis and toe pain. The way that I think about some of these issues is it's like a scab. You need to wait a little bit of time for that to heal. And if you keep picking at it and if you keep stretching and opening that up, then the wound is never going to heal itself. Instead, what you need to do is tip number 3, which is get some active blood flow to that area. The easiest way that I've found to do that is with a single leg stand. All you got to do is just stand on one leg, then set a timer anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. And you'll notice after 2 to 5 minutes, there is a burning sensation either on the body of your foot or maybe the calf or maybe somewhere around the lower leg. That's going to indicate maybe some of those areas that need to be strengthened. It's also just going to send a lot of blood flow to that area. And blood flow is super important, especially for some of those tendons and some of those areas to heal. Tip number 4 goes kind of in line with that, which is use floss bands. I talk about floss bands so much with my students. If you don't know about floss bands, you need to do your research. It's nothing special. It's not magic. It's simply just blood flow restriction therapy, but it's extremely cheap and affordable. And no, it's not TheraBands. They are floss bands. Go on Amazon, go get yourself a pair. They're like 15 bucks. All you're going to do, especially if you have plantar fasciitis, is you're going to wrap the bottom of your foot so that it provides some compression around your foot. And again, that's going to promote blood flow and that is going to promote healing. And lastly, I promised that I would give you a kind of super secret tip that I found that worked for myself. The first and only time I struggled with plantar fasciitis, I actually had a student that was struggling with plantar fasciitis as well. She was doing all of the recommended things that the therapist was telling her. And all the things that you would Google are things like, calf raises and stretching the toe. All these strength exercises just didn't work and they seemed to actually irritate the issue even more. Oddly enough, as my student was going through it, I was also trying to figure out different ways to fix my problem as well. There was one day I was just sitting there and I started to curl up my toes and stretch like the top of my toe and my shin. If you want to use this for feetpics.com or whatever, you can do so, but I'm going to take off my foot right now and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Did I say take off my foot? I meant take off my sock. Be actually insane. Yeah, special tip, you just got to chop your foot off. And that'll deal with the issue. No foot pain. Problem solved. All right, so all that I did, and these are my nasty feet right here, all that I did was I took my toes like this and I kind of positioned my foot inward and then I pushed down, and this sent a lot of blood flow onto the bottom of my foot, and then it also created this massive stretch all the way up here into my shin. You'll feel it like on the front of your big toe right here. And so just really curl, dig into here. And I know that I said don't stretch it, but what I meant was don't stretch the area that hurts. So don't pull back on your toe like this and stretch the actual plantar fascia. Stretching around the area is actually really, really helpful. I've been doing some like light hamstring stretches and things like that. I knew that this was it the second I did it because right after I did it, there was instant relief. I knew that the more that I did it, then it was going to fix the issue as long as I was giving it blood flow, as long as I was giving it enough rest. And then eventually I was able to start to load it with maybe some calf work and with some other foot exercises. And then I was back to training as normal. And this also worked for my student as well. And so that's it. I hope you enjoyed that video on just different foot pains. If you have any questions, let me know. Go get yourself a pair of floss bands, stand on one leg for 5 minutes if you can, and get that blood flow to that area, and maybe buy some insoles or different shoes if that can help the issue as well. So hopefully this helps. Bada bing, bada boom.